Welcome back. This is going to be another, I guess, Vlogmas video. And in this one, I want to talk somewhat briefly about my tarot journey so far. I watch a lot of tarot channels. I do have some of my favorites that I like. Some are just about tarot decks, showing tarot decks, discussing decks. Some are learning about tarot. Some are still active channels. Some they're active, but they do like tarot readings and not so much like the discussion of learning or teaching tarot per se anymore, but still. I am in a Facebook group, Hermit's Cave, which I absolutely love. I found the tarot community to be very supportive, very genuine, pretty drama-free, which I like, because that's rare. But right now, and I'm not really, it's not going at a pace that I would like for it to go. And again, that's mainly a time issue, also an exhaustion issue sometimes, because a lot of times when I work on this, it's in the evening, the kids are in bed kind of thing, and so if I'm just wiped, then I don't bother. You know. But I want to share some of the books that I'm currently using, and I put them in my husband's chair. And I will show two of the decks that I'm currently using. Oh, phone calls. You know, can I tell you, I am so tired of these telemarketers. Like, okay, so I'm a stay-at-home mom. This phone rings almost all day. Between this phone and my cell phone with telemarketers. My husband went online, went to, was it the FCC website or something like that, he said.
Through new standards,
where,
you are now entitled to receive a medical grade brace at no charge.
Look at this, a brace.
For more information,
They're trying to tell me about health problems I'm not even aware of yet. But, like, I kid you not. Not only are they trying to sell me medical grade braces, there's hip replacements, all kinds of stuff. But anyways, he put us on the no call list. Well, oh, my lamp. Well, can I tell you how that means absolutely nothing? Still get these calls. It's to the point where I'm trying to keep going through and putting them on block, and it's so irritating. But anyways, I digress. Okay, so let's get back to the tarot talk. Okay, so let's go with the books first. So the main book that I'm using right now is Learning the Tarot, and I'm about this far in with this one because now I'm working on the court cards. So the first few chapters, you know, you learn about the major and minor arcana, interpreting a single card. Like these are all different lessons. What else is there? Question reading. So it talks about different types of readings, the environment, spreads. It talks about the meaning of the aces, the meaning of the court cards. So you get all that information first. Pairings and things like that. What else? What? I just saw something. Position number, which I didn't really focus on that part for right now. But yeah, I did like the aces and the court cards. They have court families and things like that. I didn't really focus on reverse cards because I'm not working with reversals at this time. So that the first few lessons in this book deals with that kind of information, and then you go on, and then it's the and that's the you go on, and then it's the major arcana. So then you have this chart, which is also floating around online, or a reasonable facsimile thereof. So again, the glare and whatnot. So it has like the keywords for the major arcana, and then you get to where you have information on each card in the major arcana. It says like keywords, and it has cards that opposing cards that have some possibilities, reinforcing cards that have some possibilities. Then it has the description, and then I think that's it. And then I think once then we move on to the minor arcana. And I think after the minors, I want to say there's more spreads. Yeah, so it's learning the Celtic cross and different positions in the Celtic cross, and that's it. So to reinforce what I'm getting in here, I have other backup books. But before I get into those, let me tell you what I'm doing. So this is my tarot notebook. I don't want to call this a journal because this is not something that I'm writing my thoughts in. This is something that I'm writing my notes in. And I take very detailed and explicit notes. So like in the beginning of the book when it talks about the major arcana, I have that here, and then it's the start of the Fool's Journey. And I think, did I write? And then what I also did was I went online and then I printed out information on the Fool's Journey. But I didn't want one page to get bulky or to be difficult to thumb through. So I taped it. It was 5 pages long. So I taped it on 5 pages in the book. And then, where is it? So after the Fool's Journey, then I took down the notes on the aces and the court cards. And I think here's where I made sure to reference what book I got the information from. So I can go back if need be. And, so this is more of my note-taking book. And then once I started working on the majors, I printed out pictures of the tarot cards, and I pasted them on here, and so I have them on different sides so it doesn't just get lumped up in one spot. So like here I have the Fool here, but then I have the Magician on the other side and he's up more, so it's just not bulky in one spot, And then I have the the High Priestess here. And what I have been doing is I collect information on these cards from this book, and then also the 21 Ways to Read a Tarot Card by Mary Greer. Information from this, and information from Tarot 101 by Kim Huggins. And I also used a little bit the Tarot Bible. And the Tarot Bible I used when I was compiling the keywords for cards. So let's say okay, so here for the Magician, and you see I have the keywords here. So I compiled the keywords from all of these books, and some of them, they use the same phrasing or words that are similar. So I just instead of writing everything they all said, I just took what just compiled it together. I don't know what I'm saying. And then but the main one is this one. And so in here they also have like the actions, and I would list that. So like for the Magician, it says the action is taking action, acting consciously, concentrating. And then there's like for taking action, it says doing what needs to be done, carrying out plans, using your talent, producing magical results, making what's possible real. Then we have, like, as far as acting consciously, knowing what you are doing and why, understanding your intent, blah 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 blah. And experiencing power was another one, for the actions. And so for experiencing power, it says like creating miracles, being creative, making a strong impact, things like that. And so what I did was, in these books, I looked through and to see what fell under these categories of taking action, acting consciously, concentrating, and experiencing power. I took whatever they were saying that fell into those categories, and I continued, adding on to what this one was saying. Okay, and then I have the description, and again, I compiled the description from all those books because some had things that the others didn't, but more of it all said the same thing. And when there were things that were different in one that wasn't in the other, I added that into my description. And then you have common symbols. So the common symbols was actually in, not this one, was actually in the 101 Tarot 101 book. So I'll show you how they have their thing set up here. So, well, since I just did the High Priest, not the High Priest, I'm sorry, the Magician. Okay. So here, how they have set up is like a description of the card. It also talks about the number of the card in some of these cases. Then it has like the common symbols. So it talks about the symbols on the card, the images. And so it tells you basically what each thing means. So the wand, it talks about the wand, the red and white roses, one arm rise to the sky and one pointing downward to the earth. The table, which has the dice, the cup, the sword, the disc, So that was from here. And then I there's a chart in 21 ways to read a tarot card. There's a chart in the back. And I don't know the name of the chart. Archetypal motifs chart. Okay, there you go. So on their archetypal motifs chart, which you can see there, they'll have the name of the card. They'll have the Fool's Journey, archetypes, hero's journey, and mythical figures. Which also, here has mythical figures, but in Tarot 101, they also talk about, now I don't want to say mythical figures, but they have in literature and film. And so it'll talk about in literature and film who or what situations correspond with the card, so that you have like a reference point. Even like in the Magician card, they even reference in the Bible, so that you can get an example of who this would pertain to, kind of thing, what kind of archetype, characters, whatever would fit that. So that's what I'm doing with those. But then I do daily draws. I was doing daily draws. Let's put it like that. I have not been in a while, but I was doing daily draws. This is my journal for doing, I guess I would say, self-readings, because I really only read for myself. I've done one reading for a friend. That was an oracle reading. And when I do self-readings, if they're oracle, I do put those in here as well. And I put the dates. And what I like to do is I'll list the deck I'm using, or if it's more than one deck, I'll have the name of the card, and so in parentheses I'll put what deck it's from if it's more than one deck. But I'll have the name of the card, and then I'll have my observations, which is how I interpret the card basically. And then I'll go to the book and I'll put down what the book meaning is for the card. And then sometimes I'll answer like, how does my interpretation differ from the book interpretation? I don't always do that, but I sometimes do that. And here I have, but this is more of a journal, tarot journal, or tarot oracle journal. So like here I have where I was trying to learn how to create a story with the cards. Wait. So if you can see it there, trying to create a story with the cards. And again, I'll put down what deck I'm using, and in this way what I do is I'll put down the card meanings, like the keywords, from my interpretation. I put down keywords from my interpretation, and then I look for similarities in the cards, and then I look for differences in the cards. So if there are, I mean, just the look. So like, okay, so in this one I had the 2 of Cups, 2 of Wands, and 8 of Cups. So similarities in the cards where they all had water in there. 2 cards have forward movement in them. Sky was present, all of them. Moon is present in 2 of the cards. What was different is 2 of Cups is daytime. 2 of Wands appears to be evening or dusk. 8 of Cups is nighttime. And then from that I tried to put a story together. And so in this way I'm not using the book to put my interpretation together. I'm just trying to create a story from the cards so I can understand the cards better. But then at the end, and I don't really take notes on this part, but at the end I go through the book. So the cards, the deck that I'm using for my daily draws is the Witch's Tarot, and that's because I feel more connected with this deck than the Rider-Waite deck, even though, you know, I mean, it's a Rider-Waite based deck. But I think my disconnect with the Rider-Waite was the fact that they were Christian symbols, and I think that's what was not allowing me to connect with the deck. So so I was doing 1 card draws, and then I moved on. When I started working on trying to create a story, I moved on to 3 card draws. So I'll just show you some of the images from the deck, which I'm sure, you know, many are familiar with anyways. But yeah, here's the backs, which I adore the backs. And so just quick, some of the images in the card, in the deck. Let me see. So here's one. This is actually one of the cards that I had from that spread I was telling you about. Hangman. Oh, some of my cards are upside down. I don't know why that is. But so just so you can get a, and some are changed, you know, in the major arcana. So like you don't have the Hierophant. I forget what it was called, but it's not called a Hierophant in here. Here's the Empress. I love this one. I like it because I don't know why. It reminds me of Merlin. Yeah, I don't know where it's at. Here's the Hermit. I can't think of where it's at. But yeah, the Hierophant isn't called the Hierophant. I can't quite remember what it is called. But that's another major Arcana card. That was the World. I'm sure I've missed it. I've passed it. You have the Shadow side, which I think this is the Death card. I can't remember. But you have the Shadow side. So yeah, some of the major Arcana cards are, some of the names are different. But I just relate more to this deck. So this is what I use when I'm just working on drawings. But when I'm working with, you know, in this aspect, and even though I have a picture, I print out pictures, they're small. So it's easier for me to, especially when I'm looking at the common symbols, I like to pull out the cards. So this one I try to keep in order. So right now, since I'm working on the major arcana, I separated the major arcana from the rest of the deck. So I have it separated by the guidebook. Anyway, so this is the Pamela Coleman Smith RWS tarot. And what I did was I wrote the keywords around the cards. And so I was working on the Empress, so that's why she's there. But yeah, so I like to use this as a guide when I am doing the study part. And then when I'm just doing the, you know, trying to get accustomed to it, like really get accustomed to it. Because, you know, some of those symbols that are in the common symbols are in here too, some of them. So that's what I've been doing, how I've been trying to get used to it, how I've been working on my tarot journey, even though it's slow and going. Like I said, part of it is due to just time, and then just, you know, not feeling too exhausted to think. Because sometimes if I'm too tired, I'm literally just reading the same line over and over and over and over again. And I'm not even going to do a card draw at that point because I'm just not there, you know? So, but yes, so that's my tarot journey so far. If anyone else is on a tarot journey, I would love for you to share your experiences, what books you're using, what decks you're using, how you're feeling in your process, things like that. I think I will do some check-ins along my journey. I just like to share my experiences, and I like to see other people's experiences as well. So I'm always glad and grateful when they share theirs. So that's it. Thank you for watching, and blessed be.